Let's talk about vaccines. Last time you were with us, Allison, you were getting ready to, or you had just left ESPN with a very emotional and honest video about why the vaccine didn't work for you and you didn't want to be forced into getting it. And we talked about how it was, I felt uncomfortable saying, why didn't you get it? And then you had to answer about your personal medical. It's like, it's none of my business. Well, Shaq is apparently on board with that same line of thinking. He has actually spoken out saying people should not be forced to get the vaccine. Here's a bit of that. Listen.
Look, I encourage everybody to be safe and take care of your family. I do. But there's still some people that don't want to take it. And you shouldn't have to be forced to take something that you don't want. So
I don't think people are being forced to take. Well, there are some. Listen, we have a mandate at CBS.
That's force.
We have a mandate at CBS. But my point.
That's force.
But where I wholeheartedly.
That's force.
No, it's not force.
It is force, because if the man don't take it, the man will get fired.
Yeah, it's a good point. Right. And she went on to say that this is Nichelle Turner, went on to say, no, I wholeheartedly disagree. You're not just affecting yourself. You're putting the public at risk, and it's a public health issue. Allison, what do you make of it?
First of all, I think the most interesting part of that was Shaq had to preface everything he said with, I'm probably going to get in trouble for this.
Yes.
I mean, that's where we're at, right? Where you can't speak out against mandates without acknowledging you're probably going to get in trouble for this, whether it be from people on social media, people you work for, or whatnot. So that to me is very concerning. The second thing that bothers me is his co-host repeatedly says it's not force. Okay, but it's coercion. It is not a choice. She says it's a choice to walk out the door if you don't follow the rules. That is coercion. And she's entitled to whatever opinion she wants to have. That's fine, but it's fundamentally flawed because she turns this into well, if you don't get it, you're hurting me. But the science has proved otherwise, because we all know now that vaccinated people can get and transmit the illness. So I am not protecting anyone else by getting the vaccine if I can still spread it. So her whole premise and justification for the mandates is fundamentally flawed.
I think it's
alarming that people still don't realize that.
I wanted to hear him say that. I had to tell you, I went for my annual mammogram this week, which, ladies, you should all do. And by the way, they were saying that they had a couple of cases where they found stage 4 breast cancer that could have been avoided if the women had gone in for their annual mammogram during the COVID lockdowns, but they didn't. They've been scared by the fear mongers that, don't go out and whatever. They postponed it. So just get your annual mammogram if you are 45 or up. But my doctor, who I love, Ethan, she's a New York lefty, and I love talking to her because it's great to hear her POV, and she's smart, and she's a doctor, so she gets a fair point of view. She gets to have a strong opinion. She worked in New York through the pandemic, and I respect that. But she is definitely in the same camp as Nichelle. You get the vaccine, do your part. It's a public duty. And why should the rest of us, have to take all the measures and make all the sacrifices, and you don't have to take any? And I kept saying to her, I get that more like in the omega phase of this pandemic, but how do you square that now with Omicron, which everyone can spread equally, vaccinated or unvaccinated? And even this brilliant doctor just kept rounding back to, do your part, do your part. She didn't have an answer.
Yeah, it's sloganeering, and I wonder if the operating modality of the current regime, of so much of media, is just passive aggression, obnoxious passive aggression. The idea of, you're not forced, you just get fired if you don't do it. Right. There aren't restrictions. You just have to put a mask on your 3-year-old. That's it. That's the only thing. It's this denial that people have the issues with these impositions in their lives and not really grappling with it, not really listening. And I've written a bit about this. I personally got the vaccine. I don't believe everything that Aaron Rodgers says about it. I don't believe everything that Joe Rogan's guests, like Robert Malone, the doctor, and who was involved in the invention of mRNA. Whew, it's hard for me to say that for some reason. I don't necessarily believe everything that they're saying, but if you ask me, why is my contempt not aimed in that direction, right? Because it seems like we're almost trained to, that you're supposed to be angriest at these people. It's because they don't want to do anything to me. They don't want to impose any restrictions on me. Aaron Rodgers might believe the kookiest stuff in the world, right? He might have the worst justifications for avoiding the vaccine. Same with Kyrie Irving. I don't know. But I also know that he doesn't want to keep my son in a mask in perpetuity versus the loudest critics of these people who, I don't know, it kind of seems like they might sign on for this forever. So that's why I've shifted my frustration, at least, to the people who are trying to impose such mandates and impose such restrictions, as opposed to being angry at the people who step out of line.
Yeah. Good for Shaq for speaking out about it, though, because it's like he's kind of untouchable. They can say he's in trouble all they want. He's untouchable. So good for him for at least creating more weight on the side of diversity of opinion. People are afraid and they shouldn't be to speak out. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.